everybody. Thank you so much for visiting me here at Cooking with G Dubs, and I'm your host, G Dubs. What I'm going to cook for you today is Caribbean rice and peas. Many of you who have gone to Caribbean restaurants and enjoyed the rice and peas, I know you were like, man, how do they cook this? It tastes so good. But now you found my channel and I'm going to show you how to do it. All right. This is very common all across the Caribbean, whether it is Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, Barbados, Turks and Caicos, wherever you are, Bahamas, the whole nine. It's just a standard across the Caribbean, as well as in South America, but mainly in the Caribbean. All right. So without further delay, let me introduce you to the ingredients that we're working with. All right. First, we have our Èpís, and that's what you see right here. And to know how to make this, check out my YouTube channel, and I have a video specifically showing you how to make that. All right. And what I have here is a half a cup of Èpís. Right over here, I have 1 tablespoon of Himalayan sea salt. And of course, I have my peppers. I have my orange, red, and yellow bell peppers. I have my chopped up red onions. And then typically the way you make the rice and beans is you would take your pinto beans and you will boil them for several hours until it gets soft, and then you add your rice to it. But what we're doing today is we're going to use canned beans. And what I have is I'm working with organic, 100% organic, light red kidney beans. And only thing that's in it is the beans, water, and a little bit of salt. All right. So I'm going to use 2 cans of that. And I'm going to use 2 cans. And I'm also going to use some canned coconut milk. And again, with this one, it only has coconut milk and water. All right. To make sure you try to keep as organic as possible, because you don't want anything to have a whole bunch of that preservative stuff in there, because over time it'll make you sick or make you develop food allergies. And thankfully, those of you who are watching have food allergies, or many of you do. So now you can know how to cook healthy without having to deal with all the nonsense that come along with that. All right. And of course, we have our rice. All right. So without further delay, let's get to cooking. All right. So what I got is I have my pot here ready to go. And I'm going to start out by taking a little bit of olive oil, putting it at the bottom. And we're going to let this get hot for a minute. And then while that's warming up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some onions. Let's take a few of them, throw it in there. Then I'm going to take some of my peppers. I'm going to take a few. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to saute this for about 2 or 3 minutes. So we're going to give this about 2 minutes to saute. We're going to let it get hot, and then we're going to add the other ingredients to it. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so now our veggies is cooking. What we're going to do is we're going to throw in our Èpís. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add our beans. And what we're going to do now is we're going to allow this to all sweat together. So now all the seasonings are all here. And remember, we haven't added the salt yet. We're going to add the salt later. But now we're going to let all of the ingredients sweat together for about 5 minutes or so, or until the water starts to boil and we start noticing the peppers and the onions starting to get soft. And then we'll add the coconut milk and then the water. All right. All right. So now everything has been sweating together. Next step As you see, it's coming along really nicely. You see, look at that. So now we're going to add our coconut milk. And what we're going to do is we're going to add once we add our coconut milk, then I'm going to add my water. Okay? And I'm going to add 2.5 cups of water. There we go. That's 2.5 cups. And now at this point, we're going to taste it first, and then we're going to see how much salt we need to add. All right? All right? So that's our benchmark. And this is the 1 tablespoon of salt. And like I said before, watch your salt intake, because you don't want it to be too salty, because that'll raise your blood pressure. All right? So, let's check one more time. That's very, very good. Doesn't need anything else. All right? And then when you have this, whatever meat you have, if you have a little bit of gravy or sauce, you can add it to it, and it'll make it absolutely wonderful. All right? So, we're going to let this boil. And once the water starts to boil, then we add our rice. But for now, what I'm going to go ahead on and do, I have 4 cups of rice right here. All right? 4 cups of rice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash the rice out with warm water. And like I mentioned to you in other videos, what you do is you put it under the tap, let it fill up with water, you rinse it, and then you pour it out, then you do it twice, at least 2 times. You could do it 3, but at least minimum 2. All right, to get a lot of the starch off the rice, so then that way it won't stick when you finish. All right, we'll go take care of that while this is boiling, and we'll be right back. All right, so now it's time for us to add our rice. But before we add the rice, let's check for salt, okay? Remember, we haven't added the salt yet. Yep, we got it. All right, we're good. So now it's time to add the rice. All right, and then we're going to let this boil on top of the stove until we see all the water evaporate. And once all the water evaporates, then we're going to put the lid on it, and we're going to let it simmer for about 15 minutes. All right, so we're going to stir it once now to make sure that our beans and our veggies are all evenly distributed throughout the rice. And then once the water evaporates, then we simmer it, all right? So we'll be right back. All right, everybody, here's the finished product. You see? Look at that. Doesn't it look delicious? Just like the Caribbean restaurants. All right, so now let's see what it tastes like. As my Jamaican friends would say, oh gosh, it's so delicious. Only thing is missing is some curry goat or some curry chicken some brown stew chicken, some oxtail, or some sauce pois, or some black eyed peas, gravy, or whatever else. And everything I mentioned, there's a video for it on my cooking channel. All right. Thank you so very much for checking us out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below. Cooking with G Dubs. Again, I'm your host, G Dubs. Until the next video.